Well, welcome back to my podcast. Okay, if you've listened to the previous podcast, and I hope you have, you've completed the first 2 contacts with your divorce-minded spouse. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do the final 2 contacts. That's my topic on today's podcast. Again, continuing in my series, based on my book, I Destroyed My Marriage. Now, if you're a regular listener to my podcast, you know I will tell you exactly what to do in any marital crisis. I don't deal in generalities, I deal in specifics. After 35 years of clinical practice and being a follower of Jesus Christ for longer than that, I have a clear, detailed plan for whatever crisis you're facing in your marriage. After 35 years, I should. Go to my website, davideclarkephd.com, Clarke with an E, to check out all my resources to save and rebuild marriages. Now, one item before I answer a podcast question and cover today's topic. I have some exciting news. I've completed the first draft of a brand new book. This is what's known in the business as a teaser. It's a 52-day couples devotional journey to spiritual intimacy, the most important part of intimacy for any couple. How to put God at the center of your marriage. And it's particularly good for those of you who are just beginning this process, who have no idea about spiritual intimacy. It's a gentle, step-by-step process that you follow together as a couple. It's geared for a couple to do together. Very short chapters, very brief sections, but boy, I think very helpful. The book will be ready in about 2 months. So whatever this date is, this teaser is part of our massive publicity campaign together with Dugas Creative to promote this book. More to come on future podcasts. We are building a massive level of expectation. Okay, so let me answer a podcast question, and then we'll get into today's podcast topic. This sweet lady begins with, I have an odd podcast question, I think. And I'd say to that, that's okay. I like odd podcast questions. Actually, there are no odd podcast questions. Every question is a good question. And frankly, others will benefit from your question. Okay, her scenario is this. He's lived for almost 30 years with a porn addict. He's manipulative. He's spiritually abusive. He calls him a dirtbag. I like that. Yeah, good name. I'm sure he is. And now she's filed for divorce recently. Actually, last year. And this dear soul's been through a nightmare. It's the 4th time she's left. She wants to make sure she's doing the right thing. He acted like he was repentant. They reconciled, but only for him to have learned how to deceive better. Yeah, classic dirtball, classic narcissist, sounds like. So she continues. Anyway, during the course of this 2-year separation, she's still been gathering evidence of his perverted lifestyle. Yeah, I don't blame you, frankly. And of course, in this divorce process, here's a classic scenario with a dirtball and a narcissistic dirtball. She says he's given me problem after problem with concluding the divorce and agreeing on a proposal. Yeah, exactly. 2 mediations, 1 temporary support court hearing, and this lady standing her ground when he demands unfair terms. Oh my goodness, over and over. He's going to make her suffer. Classic dirtball behavior. He's making you suffer, and he's wearing you down to get a better divorce deal. They're all the same. This just confirms why you're divorcing him, frankly. Now, recently, she says, here's the nuts and bolts of her question. She submitted a proposal through her attorney that is more than fair. It gives her a lump sum. I like that because these dirtballs don't like to write the check every month or transfer money. Gives her a lump sum alimony with the sale of the house and him the rest of the proceeds. Now, that she feels like that's fair to her and to him, too. Here's her question. And it's a good one. Could I also slip him a few of the 700 plus pages of evidence I have of his porn use, his love letters to the other woman while separated? He's been to massage parlors. He's got nasty internet searches. To let him know, can I do this? He says, to let him know that I know what he's still up to. Would it hasten his desire for closure with this divorce? Now she ends, and this is very sweet. I recommend your books and podcast every chance I get. And she prays for me and the blonde. Well, you know what? I'm thankful for that. Okay. Here is my response. You know what? I think I would, now check with your attorney, of course, but I think I would let him know, slip him a small piece of your evidence of his sinful behavior and indicate that a quick settlement on these current terms would be in his best interest. This is leverage, and I would use it. I'm not an attorney, but I like the idea. That's all these dirtballs understand. Now, you can let him know that if he agrees to the current terms, you will never reveal any of this evidence. It'll be your secret. You can even sign something that says that. Okay, if he refuses and wants to continue to make you suffer and drag things out, different story. It'll all come out in open court, and you'll tell anyone who will listen. I doubt he's going to want that, because for a narcissist, their reputation is everything, how they look. And you've got the goods on him. You can let him know through your attorney, I'm not just talking here. I've got evidence, and I'll show it. Now work with your attorney to craft just the right approach so it's all legal and won't bite you. You won't be telling the court, you will be telling others. Now, the fact of the matter is, you'll put this in the record, but the court doesn't care. The court doesn't care what he's done. The point is, he will care. Very likely, he does not want this to come out in front of his kids, in front of the community, in front of his church. So I think I would use the leverage. Check with your attorney, but I think I would use the leverage. Okay, today's podcast. Continuing. This is Reaching Out to Your Divorce-Minded Spouse, Part 2, all part of my I Destroyed My Marriage strategy. Now, if you've read listened to the previous podcast, you've now completed the first 2 contacts with your spouse, the 1-month and the 3-month contacts. Now, there are 4 scenarios in which you will alter the timeline of these next 2 contacts, the 4 and 5-month contacts. And here are those scenarios. Number 1 is, and this is good news, she is ready. Your spouse who wants a divorce, she's actually ready, sincerely ready for marriage counseling. Surprisingly, and it would be surprisingly, after the 3-month update, your spouse decides to enter marriage counseling. This doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. It's awesome news, of course, and you can skip the 4 and 5-month contacts. However, there are 2 things you will ask her to do before you go with her to marriage counseling. First, she has to be willing to try her best in counseling, sincerely. We don't want the one going one time and out and checking the box. Now, you're not looking for a guarantee from her that the counseling will work and your marriage will be saved. You're looking for a guarantee from her that she will give the counseling her best shot. If she's angry, irritated, and reluctantly agrees to go to marriage counseling, you're wasting your time. Don't go. She'll go 1 time, maybe twice, and never return. She'll check the box to look good to others and get you off her back. You don't want that. Seems crazy to say, well, with that attitude, I'm not going to go to marriage counseling, but that's what you should do. Don't go. That'll surprise her, but don't go. Now, the second thing you must ask her to do is to suspend the divorce process. Not end it, suspend it. It's 1 call to her attorney to put everything on hold. Happens every day, millions of times a day. This action is proof she is serious about the counseling and will genuinely work on the marriage. It's got to be suspended. Now, you don't demand these 2 conditions in some mean, aggressive way, of course. You simply tell her that you believe these 2 things are necessary to give the marriage counseling any chance at all to succeed. If she refuses to go all in to work on the marriage and won't suspend the divorce process, you will not go to marriage counseling. Marriage counseling is worse than a waste of time if these conditions aren't met. And again, it's up to her if she wants to meet them. You will tell her to let you know if she changes her mind and will agree to these 2 conditions. It's terribly hard to hold the line, but you need to. And I'm telling you, the entire Christian community, except for Dr. David E. Clarke, will tell you, what are you, crazy? If she's agreed to go to a counselor, go. No, waste of time, worse than that. Listen to me. This is 35 years of experience talking. Second scenario in which you will not have to do the 4 and 5 month contacts. And that is, she's interested but not ready. Okay, she likes the progress you're making and is showing interest in working on the marriage, but she's not ready for marriage counseling. She says she wants to spend more time with you to make sure your changes are real and will last. Hey, that's fair. This is hopeful, so you will put off the 4 and 5 month contacts. You're not going to, progress is actually being made. You're seeing some movement here. Okay, put it off. Number 3. She's in individual therapy. Okay, if she's working hard in her own individual therapy and is showing interest in eventually doing marriage counseling, okay, you'll put off the 4 and 5 month contacts. Again, this is hopeful and reason enough to postpone the 4 and 5 month contacts. Another scenario, the last scenario in which you will not do the 4 and 5 month contacts at those times, is that the divorce date is just too soon. If you're hearing this podcast, or you've bought the I Destroyed My Marriage ebook or print book, and you think, Dave, my divorce is set for next month or in 2 or 3 months. Okay. You're doing all you can to follow my plan, but you're running out of time. Your divorce date is coming up fast, and you don't have 2 more months to wait. In this scenario, go ahead and do the 4 and 5 month contacts now. If none of these 4 scenarios is true for you and your spouse remains committed to divorce, follow through with the 4 and 5 month contacts. Okay, here's the 4 month contacts, I should say. Actually, no, just one contact. 4 months into the separation, you will reach out to your spouse and ask her to suspend the divorce process and come with you to marriage counseling. This is a critically important contact, so here is exactly how I want you to handle it. Again, I'm nothing if not specific. Just as before, ask her to meet you with you in person. Say you have something very important to share with her. If she refuses, ask for FaceTime or phone. If she refuses those options, email her your message. Begin your presentation by telling her, I will make a brief statement. Please just listen and do not give me a response when I'm done. I ask you to pray and think about what I've communicated and get back to me with your response. You don't want the immediate defensive response, so you ask her, don't respond, think and pray about this. After this opening, you will share this message. Here's the guts of the message you're going to share. I have worked very hard on my issues and the sources of my sinful behavior. I've gained an understanding of the damage I did to you and to our marriage. I'm much closer to God. He is the one who's helping me change. I believe I'm in solid recovery and will not repeat the sinful actions I've committed in the past. I love you and I want you back. I'll do whatever it takes to win back your heart. I'm willing to do the hard work to help you heal from the wounds I've caused and to build a brand new marriage. I'm asking you to do something very, very difficult. I'm asking you to suspend the divorce process and join me in marriage counseling. Now, you can choose the marriage counselor. As long as he or she is a Christian, licensed, and experienced, I'm in. We will stay separated during this counseling. I will not come back home until you ask me to. The first part of the counseling, of the marriage counseling, will be focused on helping you heal from the hurt and damage I caused with my sin. Once you're healed and can trust me, we can work on building a new marriage. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't ask this. Please pray about it and let me know. Of course, you're gentle, you're kind, you're genuine in delivering this message. Now, once you deliver this message, the conversation is over. You'll wait for her response. She may respond with an immediate no, despite you asking her not to respond right away. If she does say no immediately, say nothing, give her no response. If she gives you no response, even after several weeks, do not contact her and ask for a response. No response is, in fact, a no. You will never, listen to this, you will never again ask her to suspend the divorce and enter marriage counseling. From this point on, she will have to reach out to you. Any kind of a repeat of asking those two things creates more resistance and makes you look pathetic and will make her angrier. If she responds with a no a few days or weeks later, accept it graciously. Say, okay, I respect your decision. That's it. Don't argue. Don't try to persuade her. Don't cry. Don't beg. Don't get angry. Even the way you respond to her no could eventually make the no a yes. If she wants to try, but her attitude is not good, say no. Explain to her that you'll wait until she can go all in on the counseling. If she says she'll try marriage counseling but won't suspend the divorce, again, say no. Respectfully, honey, no. Tell her no progress can be made with a divorce looming over your head. To counter these negative responses about the divorce and marriage counseling, I want you to go back and listen to the arguments at the beginning of this podcast. It's very important to have those down cold, and that's why I think buying the book will help you go over those very carefully. Okay, now 5 months. If your spouse does not budge from divorce at the 4-month mark, 1 month later at the 5-month mark of the separation, have your accountability partner reach out. You're done reaching out. Now it's your accountability partner's turn. This will be the last time you or anyone on your team will contact her about suspending the divorce and entering marriage counseling. This is it. Your accountability partner will follow a similar approach to the one you used a month earlier. If she won't do a face-to-face meeting, he'll offer FaceTime and then phone. If all these communication avenues get a no, he'll send her an email. Now, your accountability partner's message is simple and brief. Here's what I want him to say. I'm asking you to suspend the divorce and go into marriage counseling. I wouldn't ask if I didn't believe with 100% certainty that your husband has repented and is a changed man. He says that and he means it. He continues, I'm only going to ask this one time. I think it's important before God and your children that you be able to say you did everything you could to save your marriage. And then he ends with, pray about it and let me know. This is your accountability partner. He's the go-between. Now, if she gives no response, he drops it and will not contact her again. That's over, unless she reaches out to him. If she says no, he'll say okay and obviously let you know her answer. Now, at this point in my process, your spouse will say yes or no to your request to suspend the divorce process and get into marriage counseling. Depending on her answer, there are action steps I want you to take. So in the next podcast, we'll focus on those action steps, depending on if she says yes or if she says no to suspending the divorce process and getting into marriage counseling.